This is Georgetown, the podcast. Georgetown County and the city. Georgetown is growing, changing, expanding, and blossoming. The Hammock Coast of South Carolina. It's a renaissance. This is Georgetown, the podcast. Here's your host, Scott Richards.
I am Scott Richards, and I am so happy to be hosting this first ever Georgetown, the podcast. Bill Mascio, you and I go back a few years, right? It's been a while.
And it's great to catch up with you, and I'm so honored you're the host of Georgetown, the podcast. That's awesome.
Well, Bill, it's interesting. You know, we talked a little while ago about starting this podcast, and it started with you telling me about a magazine and about how much you love Georgetown, and I was replying how much I love the Georgetown, and eventually you said, I was looking for somebody to host a podcast, and then I realized, well, why not me? And I'm thrilled to do this. I've been involved with a lot of people in Georgetown, businesses in Georgetown. But let's bring it back to, first of all, Georgetown is a unique place up and down the coast. I don't know that I've got this exactly right, but I know I'm close. I believe it may be the second oldest city east of the Mississippi. I think St. Augustine is older, but Georgetown has been around a long time.
I think you might be right, man. You know, I think it's right on.
I do love Georgetown a whole lot. So I want to know, why Georgetown? What is it that has motivated you to do this?
Scott, you know that I've been in the publishing business for many, many years. Actually, in the Charleston area, I've been publishing for 40 years. Crazy, right? When I would come in and visit you and do my business in Myrtle Beach, you're driving over the bridge, you know, and at the foot of that bridge on the right-hand side, what is there? That ugly, godforsaken image of the steel mill. And when that goes away,
let's just say this. You're right. It is an ugly place, but for many, many years, it was a beautiful place. High employer. It was the heart of Georgetown. It hasn't been that way for a long time. No, there's just many people in Georgetown that do think of that fondly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's gone. It's time to go.
But you know what, though? People don't realize how much water surrounds Georgetown. I mean, there's a lot of water that surrounds Georgetown, you know? And,
absolutely.
But the steel mill, the image of that steel mill kind of eroded the fact of what Georgetown was really made of. And they've done such a great job with Front Street. If you were coming from south up north, okay, towards
you had to go by it.
Yeah, you have to go by it. And it's just
I know that there were people that said, we'll just keep going up to Myrtle Beach. This looks like a steel town.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and you mentioned that Front Street is just a charming, wonderful place that people don't know enough about. They've really done a great job building the new hotel there, the George Hotel. Restaurants have become a nicer restaurants, but they're still great home cooking places too. Shopping, it's a fabulous it's place.
A mecca. You know, if you had to compare it to Charleston or any comparison, it's like Market Street on Charleston, or you know, I mean, like it's got a flavor to it. It's got the history elements like you were talking about earlier. So, but until you got past the steel mill that was there, and you know, did you know, Matt, that they started dismantling it just this week? So, Scott, I as I said earlier at the very beginning of it, I'm so excited you're going to be part of this. And there's such a rich history, you know. As a matter of fact, the beginning of the Georgetown video or podcast, we have some great images of the historic time of Georgetown. So it is truly the Renaissance, I think. Georgetown is going to go through a renaissance right now. And I think because I spent so much time in Mount Pleasant publishing, I think that the love for Georgetown from people who live in Georgetown is similar to the love and the consideration that the residents of Mount Pleasant. I got to tell you this real quick story. I was telling a business associate of mine about what my intention was, speaking of the magazine Georgetown, right? And he went up there and had a beer. We're sitting in a restaurant. I don't know which restaurant on Front Street he was sitting at. And he was sitting next to him was two workers. And the workers started talking to him, you know, and they said, you know, Georgetown is going to be like Mount Pleasant one day. True story. True story. And he came back. He could hardly wait to tell me the next day of him running because he'd heard me say that to him. And to actually hear it from a third party, he was kind of flabbergasted by that.
Well, when we talk about Georgetown today, and for those of us that have been here a long time, I've got 40 plus years, Georgetown used to be just the place you passed through. Mount Pleasant, Charleston, Myrtle Beach. Georgetown was sort of an afterthought. That's not the case anymore. Georgetown is a fast-growing community, faster than many other areas in the state. And I think it's growing healthily. I think it's growing well.
You know what's going to happen? Because we're such a visual society, Scott, that when people come down that bridge or they go up the bridge, whichever, and that steel mill isn't there, that visual thing isn't there anymore, it's going to have a very positive impact on all of Georgetown.
You think about, really, Front Street comes almost to the back of that steel mill now. When that is gone, think about the shops, the restaurants, the housing developments. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. And I can't wait. I love going to Georgetown, not just for downtown Georgetown, though. There's so much in Georgetown County, which includes parts of Murrells Inlet, Pawleys Island, and Litchfield Beach. And you think about the glory that is Brook Green Gardens. That's one of the best places on the East Coast, not just in this area. They are a big part of why Georgetown is growing and will continue to grow. Matter of fact, I had a chance to chat with Paige, who runs Brook Green, and we talked about the first Nights of 1,000 Candles and how many people. And this year, we were talking about the difference. Do you have any idea how many people went through Nights of 1,000 Candles?
I have no idea. I know it's very popular.
It's over 100,000 people. I was shocked. If she had said 30 or 40,000, I would have been impressed. But over 100,000 people make it to this spectacular event. And they're not just locals. They're people coming up from Charleston.
They advertise it in Mount Pleasant magazine often. And we have a podcast in Mount Pleasant podcast. We had them on the podcast, her and Lauren on it. People love that Brook Green Gardens.
There's a reason. It is spectacular. And they work very hard to keep it fresh and upgraded every year. Let me ask you a couple of questions, Bill, while we're sitting here talking so much about Georgetown. If you had a crystal ball, and you may, you're Bill, you may, what is Georgetown going to feel like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Location, right? So what people don't understand, and I learned from the real estate industry many years ago, there's so much water that surrounds Georgetown. Because of that, in the proximity to Myrtle Beach and Charleston, I think that it's going to grow beyond what you and I probably really can think of right now.
It's interesting you say that, because the same is true for places like Little River. 10 years ago, nobody was saying, well, Little River is going to be one of the fastest growing areas along the Grand Strand. And it is by far. And I think the same is true for Georgetown. I think we underestimate what's possible.
That's interesting to look at it that way, because as you come down off of Brunswick County up there at Little River, it's kind of like the gateway to Myrtle Beach. And if you look at Georgetown,
from the north,
it's a gateway to the Hammock Coast, and
that's right,
and
from the south,
and onto Myrtle Beach. And coming the other way, it's a gateway to Charleston, really, in a sense.
Oh, no question.
Regarding real estate, it's still very affordable. The prices are still very affordable in Georgetown, and the real estate prices in Charleston and particularly Mount Pleasant, there are going to be a lot of people from that area coming up there once they get wind of what's happening, the Renaissance.
Yeah, I did have some questions about that. For people that are not all that familiar with Georgetown, what should they expect? Because you do a lot of work with the real estate business. What should they expect? What do you see today and what's coming from the real estate standpoint of people moving into Georgetown County?
Craven's Grant is a new neighborhood that's on the south side of the bridge. and it's got 163 lots in it. There's no homes in there yet, but it is developed. And it's right there on the water. We've got a developer out of Charleston is actually going to build and develop in there. So that's interesting. Sarah Rose has been doing a lot of writing for Mount Pleasant Magazine for a good while. She was writing about the Hammock Coast, so much got to know it. She fell in love with it. And she's living in Pawleys Island. And she could buy a house for a lot less in Pawleys Island than she could in Mount Pleasant. So they moved up there probably 6 months to a year ago.
Pawleys Island, Litchfield, loaded with some of our favorite restaurants. I won't mention any names because I don't want to diminish anybody, but boy, is it a good place to go out to eat. You know, we haven't talked that much about sort of the motivation. This podcast is the first in several things that are all going to be about Georgetown. Talk about what's coming.
I love publishing. It's my passion. You already know that because we've known each other for a good while. Every one of my magazines, I have Charleston Women Magazine. For those that want to visit the digital version of it, it's charlestonwomen.com. So we have that comes out quarterly. And we have a publication for Isle of Palms called Island Vibes. That comes out monthly. And then, of course, Mount Pleasant Magazine. It comes out 6 times a year. Then we have a podcast that supports each one of those publications, okay? Like Isle of Palms podcast.com and Mount Pleasant podcast.com. I'm going to promote and publish a Georgetown magazine. Obviously, I had to have a podcast, right?
Thus, Georgetown, the podcast.
Georgetown, the podcast. And I got to tell everybody listening, guess who named that? That man right there. Scott,
Hello.
You did a great job. You really did.
Well, I like simplicity. It is what it is. It's a podcast and it's Georgetown. We are actually first. The magazine will be second.
Yes.
And I know you're a publisher at heart, but you know, you've also stuck with the times. What do you see this podcast? Who do you see as being a part of this podcast?
Just like the magazines, I want people when they pick up the magazine to learn about it's a lifestyle magazine, which it will be. And there's a photograph right there. I'm sure it's up there while we're talking. And for those that are watching it by YouTube, I want to tell the story of Georgetown because it's quite a story to tell. And I want to tell it through the words of people that live there. And you'll see, and you're helping me with this, we'll go after some people that have lived there most of their lives. And it's through their words, because they've lived there so long, that people that listen to the podcast and read the magazine, they'll be able to really get to know the feel of the magazine, because looking back on time is how you know where it's going and where it's been.
Well, I hope I haven't done something unofficial. Well, it is unofficial, but I've actually talked to several people that are Georgetown based, and they love the idea. And I know several people are ready to come on for our podcast coming down in the future. And you hit it right on the head. People that have lived there their whole lives, boy, there are some stories, not just about the city, but the whole area, the country, things that have happened out there that I've learned so much over the years by spending a little time listening.
First of all, I know we're going to work really fun together because that's what we've done, always done. But when you interview somebody who's lived there all their life and they're a little older, we're capturing together. You and I will be capturing a piece of history that will live way on past our time on this planet.
No,
I mean,
no
really
question. When the magazine is published, and it'll be sometime later this year, you had mentioned to me at one point, this is going to be distributed in a lot of different places, going to be really easy for people to find.
On the screen, there's a link there for reading it digitally. It'll have statewide distribution, Scott.
Right.
It'll be in all the South Carolina Welcome Centers.
Bill, I don't know. Let's say I was flying into, Asheville.
And there's a lot of synergy between Asheville and our coast, right?
I set you up, Bill, so.
Yeah, you did. You did good, too. You know what? I asked the airport the other day how long I had been there, and I've always said 10 or 12 years. I started distributing my magazines up there in 2014. Every issue of Georgetown Magazine will be distributed at the airport, and the airport tells me that airport's growing like leaps and bounds, that we're the only literature they have from the low country. It's a popular airport, and there's a lot of synergy between Asheville and the Carolina coast, I feel.
and it's far enough away that we are competitors, but we're not really competitors.
Yeah, there you go.
Personally, I love going to Asheville. It's a different flavor just as much as I love going to Georgetown. And we've got lots and lots to talk about, but our time is running a little bit tight. So we're going to be doing lots more of these. We'll be talking to some fascinating people, got some storytellers, got history, got culture. Georgetown, the podcast, the first one is in the books. Bill, thank you so much for being with us.
No, thank you, Scott, for being part of this.
This is Georgetown, the podcast, and I am Scott Richards.
Thank you for watching or listening to Georgetown, the podcast. Learn more about the Hammock Coast and Georgetown. Read Georgetown Magazine in print, pick one up around Georgetown and along the Carolina coast. Or digitally, visit readgeorgetownmag.com.